Hey everyone, this is David Chen, and I wanted to talk with you about the ending of Netflix's Russian Doll. Fair warning before we begin, this video will contain spoilers for Russian Doll Season 1 starting now. Russian Doll is about a woman named Nadia Volkov who's attending her 40th birthday party, but then dies, only to find herself back at the party and forced to repeat this time period in her life over and over again. Along the way she meets Alan, another person who's trapped in the same predicament. Together they have to unravel the mystery of what's happening to them, and maybe learn some life lessons along the way. Overall, this series really surprised me. At first I thought it was just a warmed over Groundhog Day rehash with characters that I wasn't really a fan of, but episodes 3 and 4 throw into focus the true arc of the series, because it's in those episodes where you realize that there are two people who are doomed to repeat their day. Cleverly, the show makes it so that they each end their day or die at the same time. From that point on, I was hooked and I couldn't stop until I got to the end. Sidebar, the show actually reminded me a lot of Your Name, the anime film by Makoto Shinkai, in which two people with extremely different backgrounds manage to find themselves entangled in a supernatural phenomenon and have to help each other through it. Great movie, by the way, check it out on video on demand. Anyway, back to Russian Doll. While Russian Doll is ostensibly about a mysterious force that causes a day to repeat, for Nadia that force is really a metaphor for trauma and what it takes to come to terms with it. A Russian Doll is a doll that has numerous smaller instances of itself within it, and just like a Russian doll, Nadia has a smaller version of herself inside her. It's the child version of her that experienced trauma when she was young, seeing her mother's smash mirrors in a fit of pique and then becoming racked with guilt at her mother's death. It's the part of herself that keeps reliving this incident over and over again, being unable to move on, and then being forced to watch as this trauma wreaks havoc on her personal life and her relationships. It's no coincidence that her surrogate mother Ruth is an EMDR therapist. EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing. It's a type of therapy, and according to the EMDR International Association website, when a person is very upset, their brain cannot process information as it does ordinarily. One moment becomes frozen in time, and remembering a trauma may feel as bad as going through it the first time because the images, sounds, smells, and feelings haven't changed. Such memories have a lasting negative effect that interferes with the way a person sees the world and the way they relate to other people. Following a successful EMDR session, a person no longer relieves the images, sounds, and feelings when the event is brought to mind. You still remember what happened, but it is less upsetting. EMDR can be thought of as a physiological-based therapy that helps a person see disturbing material in a new and less distressing way. If we take this into account, then the show itself becomes a metaphor for therapy, re-exploring a singular event over and over again, and understanding how to handle it so that one can move past it. This is most clear at the cafe scene, which shows that the younger version of Nadia is still inside her and has the potential to kill her, with a piece of mirror being a physical manifestation of trauma. While Nadia is making her realization about why she's being forced to repeat the day, she meets a man named Alan who's doing the same thing. But Alan's day is not about trauma. It's about coming to terms with his own selfishness and insensitivity.
I didn't know how to tell you.
You did. You did tell me, I just didn't listen.
One of the great things about the show is how it draws a stark contrast between Alan and Nadia. Their personalities are different, as is how they approach the day. Nadia tries to branch out into increasingly diverse choices, while Alan willingly relives the day even though it's terrible. I mean, his girlfriend broke up with him. These differences are also manifest in how they dress and in how their apartments look. In an interview for Vulture, Michael Bricker, the production designer for Russian Doll, talks about these differences. I'm just going to quote from the article here. When Nadia meets Alan, who is also stuck in a time loop, his world is designed to look like the inverse of hers. Where she's dark, he's light. Where she's brown, he's fair. Where she has tertiary colors, he has more primary colors. Then as Nadia and Alan's lives bleed into each other, their worlds change. His world becomes messier. Hers becomes a little bit cleaner. Gradually, both Nadia and Alan realize what they need to do to escape the day. They need to reconcile with the people in their lives, come to a deeper understanding of themselves and their own flaws, and then try to get back to the first time loop and help the other person in a crucial time of need. They need to decline to be self-absorbed enough to change a life, maybe to save a life. So they do all that, only when they go back they realize they're in separate timelines. The Nadia that remembers everything encounters a drunk and self-destructive Alan, while the Alan that remembers everything encounters a Nadia who's ready to go home with serial philanderer Mike. You see that the Nadia that remembers the day, let's call her Nadia A, she's wearing a gray coat with a white shirt. While the new Nadia, the Nadia that Alan needs to prove he knows by quoting an extremely specific dollar amount, that Nadia is wearing a gray coat with a black shirt. However, as they both come to an understanding of each other and reunite, this time as friends, both pairs of Nadias and Alans join a big parade in progress. We see them from behind, with Nadia A on the left and Nadia B on the right. Then, just as they're about to emerge from the tunnel, we cut to a reverse shot with Nadia A, and then two Nadias pass her by. What's going on here? In an interview that Karen Hahn from Polygon did with co-creator Leslie Headland, she talks about what's happening with this ending, saying in part, "I love when Fellini's films end that way. Like in 8½ where they're all at the carnival, or La Dolce Vita where they all walk into the woods. It reminds me of almost a curtain call in the sense of it's kind of going like, hey, this was a thing we made. We're not necessarily trying to totally break the fourth wall, but kind of going, let's celebrate the fact that it's over now." So when those two Nadias go by her at the end, hopefully you again get that feeling of completion and narrative satisfaction. But then also that kind of question mark of, is it ever really the end? Do these things ever really stop? So on a very basic level, I think the ending of the two Nadias passing Nadia A is symbolic. It's not really taking place in any of the timelines that we've seen of the show. It's like Fellini's ending for 8½, which I don't think really takes place in the reality of that film. Both endings are a joyous celebration of all that has come before, everything these characters have gone through, and how they've grown. How they all, and by extension how we all, need each other, depend on each other, and make each other better. Or maybe it's a third completely different timeline that's been created as a result of the events of the series. Who knows, maybe we'll find out in season 2. But seriously though, I do think that the symbolic ending is the true ending, and I do think that at the end, all of the characters have found some kind of peace and strength to keep going. It's a very joyful ending, it's a very hopeful ending, and I was deeply moved by it. So those are my thoughts on Russian Doll. What did you think of the ending in those final shots? Let me know what your interpretation was in the comments. Let me know if I missed anything. I'm sure I did. Would appreciate it. Before I wrap up, I do want to thank one of my listeners, Lawson from Chicago, for sending me an email about the show and helping me to clarify some of my feelings about it. I also appreciated Matt Zoller-Seitz's essay about the series over at Vulture, and I'll link to all the articles I discussed in this video in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit like or subscribe. I'm going to try to make a couple videos per month in 2019, so stay tuned for more cool stuff. In the meantime, you can find more of my work on Twitter at Dave Chensky, subscribe to get emails from me at davechen.net/letters. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.